Hello, hello, and welcome back to Unapologetically Wild with me, Katie Sontag. Now, it's been a really, really interesting week, and I really want to share with you the growth and understanding. And one of the most beautiful things that has emerged for me this week is seeing and being with dragonflies and butterflies, also a really big thing for me, but like they're a sign, a symbol of transformation and all the things. And why I want to speak into insects is, I know, quite a random place to go, right? But that's why we're here unapologetically. It's like with the dragonfly, it apparently is like this little thing that swims in water. And then when it's time, the universe tells it to go and climb a leaf or a tree or whatever. I don't really know what it climbs, but it climbs up. And then it's like it thaws out in the sun, right? Like it's like rejuvenated by the sun, and then it grows these beautiful wings and it becomes a predator of the insect world, right? And why I think this is so beautiful, and the butterfly, I guess, is the same. It kind of, is a worm and then cocoons and it's in the goo. It's like the goo. And then that's where it like reconfigures to be this beautiful butterfly. And so I feel like right now, these last couple of weeks, and the reflection of that is being in the goo, being in or sunning myself for making my way up to be ready to grow my wings and become a predator, right? And I think this is really beautiful because these animals show us that there's phases, right? So there's like the learning phase or the being phase of when you're just hanging out and being a kid and all the things. And then there's like the growth phase where you're like, okay, it's time for me to go and emerge into something different. And then that's when you become like a teenager, an adult and all the things, right? So you're emerging into this like new being with these like powerful wings, and you go out and you fly, right? And so I feel like I've been in the goo, or I've been on the leaf waiting for my wings to grow. And like they're slowly emerging, right? Like it's a whole nother level. It's a whole new thing to be seen even deeper in business, to be seen in general, right? To all of these pieces of you know, the abandonment when you're a kid, or the not being chosen, or all of these things where, you know, you get to choose differently. And I've been consistently choosing differently, right? I chose to leave my full-time career to go after my business because it literally is who I am. And I love it because it's where you get to be messy and you get to, you know, do things and them not work out the way you think they will, and then just like test and adjust and play. And that can be really scary, right? That's the space where a lot of people don't like to be messy, because we're in a world where it's like we've got to be perfect all the time. We've got to get it right. And we've got to be successful like that. Like literally, you better wake up, do one thing and be 100% successful at it straight away. Like don't even know what, no mistakes, right? None, not allowed. So it's like wild to think that, because you think of when you've learned anything in your life and you go back to being a beginner, you are messy and you don't know what you're doing. You have to ask for help because generally, like, you're not a master at it yet. Like, you need to learn the skill before you become good at it. And at first, when you're first learning, you need someone to talk you through it. And then you can start to learn it a little bit by maybe continuing to read about what you've got to do. Or then there's like the steps, and then it becomes autonomous. And then it's like when you're trying to teach someone else, you're like, how can they not do this, right? Like it gets to that. And that's the mastery. But you can't get to that. You can't just like magically get there and be the best at the thing that you don't even know how to do. And so I feel like this is the messy stage, the goo. And so it's like, well, you're trying to work it all out, and you're trying to work out like, where is this wing going to go, and how is it going to fit, and what do I have to maneuver, and what do I have to let go of, right? What do I have to, what no longer serves me? And I had this beautiful morning this morning, which is like a beautiful reflection of this, of like, I had a beautiful friend and client come for an energy healing, and we were doing the light codes, and it was like deep, and she went through all the emotions, right? Like it was like there was a crying because there's sadness in this release, right? But there's anger from things that haven't been released, right? The box that you have never allowed anyone to open or anyone to see. And, for everyone that's different. Like everyone will have something that maybe they hide or they don't want to be vulnerable about, or, for ages for me, that was, my sexual assault and all those things. I didn't want to tell people about it. I didn't want to talk about it because that meant that I would have to be vulnerable and real and also, relive it. And then it was wild to obviously do therapy and things to go through that. But it's like, there's so many pieces to that, right? Like there's so many things in our life. If we actually don't talk about it and allow it to come out and be open and vulnerable about it, it actually holds power over us. And this is the journey as well, is like, and it's such a privilege, right? We were talking about that this morning, of how the privilege of going through these emotions and being held and getting to the depths and the deep darkness of ourselves, right? As humans, we all have that, the shadow side of who we are. And so getting into that deep, dark place and realizing that, holy fuck, it's a lot. Maybe going through some things that you wouldn't wish upon anyone. However, what happens is in those moments, we get to choose differently. And I think this is the really beautiful piece, is you can choose in that moment to literally live in that trauma for the rest of your life and let it control you and consume you. And you literally make that your identity. And that is horrendous. Like if you're going to live in that, that's horrible. Like I would not, that's almost like a death sentence. I would not wish that upon anyone. However, a lot of people will live in that for a really long time until it gets to a point, until they're like, fuck this, And for everyone that's different. That point is very different for every person, and everyone gets to live that journey for as long as they need to, right? You can't change anyone else's journey. You need to let them live it and get to that point themselves. That's a really hard thing to do sometimes, because especially if they're loved ones or family or friends or whatever, you don't want to see them suffer. However, if you keep pulling them out and you keep rescuing them, you're not helping them. They just know that you're going to keep rescuing them, so they're not actually going to do the work to go through it. And that's a really, really big piece, because, everyone has to do their own work. It's not your job to fix anyone else. It's not, your partner's job to fix you. Like there's no part of that where it's like, it's very much your own journey and you get to live that. And it's actually really beautiful when you allow yourself to let go of the pain and you no longer identify with the thing that happened to you. Because the problem is, if you hold on to the anger and the sadness and, don't allow yourself to have the joy and all these other beautiful emotions and the love, that's what you miss out on, because of the fact you're holding on to this so deeply that you literally are making it your identity and you're living in that world. And it's just, we were just talking about how as you move through it, as you let it go, yes, it's still something you've been through. Absolutely acknowledge that. However, it's not your identity. It's not who you are. And that's a really big piece, because another piece is that, a really great example of this for me is that I haven't been able to go to the gym for like 3 weeks. Just because, well, I actually have. It's just that I haven't got the membership come through yet and all the things. And I've like been trying to apply for a fitness passport, and I've been moving, and there's so many other pieces that have been taking my energy, right, and my time. However, I've always kind of been the person that went to the gym. And so I was like, wow, I get to actually pull away from that identity. That's not who I am. Yeah, I'm a woman who loves the fucking gym. And yes, I've done some home workouts and stuff here, but not a lot. And it just is like, I don't have to be that person that literally everyone's like, oh, she just is that gym person. She's a fitness woman, right? That's not my identity. It's not who I am. And I loved it because I sat with it the other night and I was like, I'm not my name. I'm not, my job. I'm not my business. I'm not, oh, pardon me, the energy's moving. I am not all of these things that are my labels. And I'm also not what all these labels are, right? Like I get to just let all that go. And I'm like, who am I? Like, who am I in the essence of me? And this is a really beautiful question to ask yourself if you ever get the time and space and you really want to explore it, because it's like, who am I at the core? Like, I am loving and kind and caring and beautiful. Like, I am the essence. I am a soul who has come down to this earth to have a human experience. And this is my human experience. I chose my parents when I came in so I could live the karmic, life, so I could, you know, help with removing all of this trauma and all these things from my ancestral line and from my relatives and all the things, right? So I'm here to help my family heal. I am the change maker. I am the person who gets to not only go through all the trauma, but also gets to transmute it. I transmute the darkness into light. I am the woman who is changing my whole like my literal whole ancestral line. And I take great honor and pride in that. And I'm supported by my guides, the universe, God, all of these things, right? And I am grateful that I get to do that. And I had to go through a lot of different things to get there. It wasn't a simple journey. It hasn't been easy. It doesn't mean that now it's going to be easy, like that I've gone through all the things I need to go through, right? Because what I see them as is the goo, is the time before the goo, is like they're preparing you for the next level, for the next stage, to hold the next thing. This could be in any area of your life, right? Health, wealth, business, all of the pieces. And, you know, if you're no longer worrying about the old things and you've moved through them and you see the lessons, you understand what you get to learn from that, then you get to choose differently, right? And you get to honor yourself and choose yourself even deeper because you're no longer continually living that. But now you get to see the new things that come up and how you get to grow even deeper and grow even more. And so for me, it was really interesting because then I had a holistic woman call this morning with one of my beautiful, beautiful clients. And we were talking about this week is all about intuition and it's about positive self talk. And you think of me going to the gym years ago, that would have been the most horrendous thing. I would have called myself fat. I would have called, like, I would not have been, I would have been like, there's something wrong with you. You're not good enough. You're not worthy, all the things. How would no one will show up because you're not fit? Which is all a load of crap, right? I still am fit and I'm still moving. Like I still walk my dog and all the things, right? And even if I wasn't, that doesn't matter, right? I have done fitness for so long that I am actually so well conditioned that yes, I would be deconditioned, of course, as everyone is. But because I've been doing this for such a long time, it's wild how you can still go into a session and I would feel like underdone. But, you know, from my own personal way of where I've been before. However, I still keep up and I can still do the thing, and my mental ability to keep going is amazing. And I know I can rebuild my body. I've done it a million times. So it's that belief and knowledge that it's all okay and it's not going to be the end of the world. And my worth isn't attached to that, which is a really big piece, right? Because we were talking about how my client was saying, like, she says horrible things to herself about her body. And I'm like, okay, that's not great. Would you say them to me? And she's like, absolutely not. And so it's this piece, right? And we all do it as women. We are all guilty of this. Like, this is a thing where we have all these subconscious and sometimes conscious, right? Like, she obviously knew that she's saying these horrible things to herself and her body is beautiful. Like, she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. And she's strong and she's fast and she's fit and all of these things, right? But it's her rhetoric in her head. And this is really common for a lot of the times that hold us back as women in society because, it's easier to control a woman who doesn't think very well of herself, but it's not very easy to control a woman who actually is in her power, right? And we know this. And so a lot of our systems are about control. We're also very highly masculine, which we also know, right? Because if you've definitely been in the army, in the military, that's a very male dominated industry. And so keeping you small is how they control you. And it's just such an interesting piece because we also allow that. So it's like, how do we get to be stronger within ourselves? Because let's be honest, it's all about us. It's all about our internal world, which is going to change our external, right? Because when I was stronger and I felt more grounded and I loved myself even deeper, I called in men who supported that in defense. So they're there. It's just that how do you honor you? And these are the karmic lessons, right? These are the lessons that I had to learn going from not honoring myself and being in horrible situations where, I had no power and I had no will and they ended badly. To the point where I was like, I get to empower myself so I don't end up in those situations. And I actually attract incredibly beautiful men who support me as a woman, as a boss, as a friend, and they respect me. And so I think this is a really beautiful piece where we as women get to look at. And I love sitting with her and being like, yeah, would you say that to me? And she said, absolutely not. And I'm like, cool. So because you've been saying these words to yourself all this time, you have actually been literally creating that story. So whatever you're saying to yourself, you see. So if you started saying, I love my body, like I'm hot, I'm obsessed with myself. I mean, this is what I say because I'm absolutely obsessed with myself. Doesn't mean that I don't have little creepy little thoughts that come in and go, and I go, I don't believe that. No, thank you. And I go, I am hot. I am sexy. I am fucking fine as hell. My body is amazing. It does so much for me, right? Like you say these beautiful things to yourself. At first, I'm going to be real with you. They sound ridiculous. I remember when I first started saying these things, and even when I first being like, I'm a millionaire, right? And my business fully supports me, right? All of these things. And my husband is going to be obsessed with me because I'm obsessed with me, right? So, and my husband's here. All of the things, although they may not seem like in real, you know what I mean, in the 3D right now, until you believe it, until you can say it delusionally without it actually being in your reality, it's never going to come. Do you know what I mean? So like you're going to keep living this external where you think your body looks a certain way because you keep telling yourself it does. Once you start to tell yourself that your body looks like sexy and strong and you're muscular and toned and you're like delicious, right? You're like, I could eat myself for breakfast. Lunch, dinner, whatever. Take yourself, eat yourself all day. It's fun. You can actually start to be like, that's the root cause of weight. That's the root cause of all these things, right? Because let's be honest, our 3D body and our suit, our meat suit, it's a reflection of what we think. So, if you want to be skinnier and you believe you're skinny and you are doing the work, you're going to be skinny, right? You've literally created that reality. So it's about the fact that you need to change these thoughts because they're going to stop you from seeing the results, right? Because you could honestly get super fit, super lean, all the things, and you can still hate yourself because the root cause is still that you're thinking all these horrible thoughts about yourself and you're not actually allowing your body to be where it's at. You're not allowing it to have any like move points. Like there's no like, what's the word? There's like no ability for you to be in different seasons. And our life is about seasons. Like I remember speaking to someone and being like, yeah, in winter, you're probably going to gain weight. Like that's very hibernation, animal-like, and some people won't, sure. You keep up your regime, you keep eating the way you're eating, fine. That's great, amazing. But it's okay if you do, and I think this is the piece is like, we're in a society where you've got to be like always perfect. It's not a thing, like what if you actually dealt with the root cause of it and you actually loved yourself no matter what, and then whatever happened. And this is why, when your identity is locked into something, you are obsessed with keeping it going. But what happened if you weren't obsessed with that? So for me, what it's taught me is that because I love myself in all seasons, that it's okay if I gain a little bit of weight. It's okay if I don't go to the gym for 3 weeks. I don't beat myself up. I don't restrict my eating. I don't, do things that are detrimental to my body because I love myself enough that I've actually been nourishing my body even more with food, which is so interesting, right? Which is, we all know, it's like 80-20 with food. So like 80% of your diet is literally controlling your weight anyway. And then 20% is exercise, right? You can't out exercise a bad diet. Trust me, I've tried it. Doesn't work. And so it's like, I've actually been honoring that I'm cooking every meal, which is wild because I was not doing that before. And so this is a different season where I get to see something different, right? And I'm not restricting myself. I'm not like looking at what I'm eating to make it like absolutely all the things. Because I know as soon as I get back into the gym, I'm going to lose weight like that, right? And I'm also not really fluctuating massively because of the fact that I'm honoring my food and I'm eating delicious, nourishing food, which is honoring my body, right? Just in a different way. And so I'm also being really conscious of my thoughts because, I know they create my reality. And sometimes those old thoughts sneak in and I have to sit there and go, what am I choosing? Like, I'm strong, happy, healthy, I'm delicious. And so it's like, how do I keep looking at that? And I keep honoring that. And so the more you change that, like I said at the start, it'll feel weird. You won't feel like you actually believe it. When I was like, doing it the first time, when I was like, I'm a millionaire, all these things, because it like your mind will say to you, and it's so funny, your mind is hilarious. It's like obviously trying to protect you and keep you where you are because it's safe. So it's like, that's not true. Like it just generally is like, that is ridiculous. Why are you saying that to yourself? Like it's going to really, really test you. And so you just keep saying it's foreign and you won't believe it at the start. And you'll be like, what the fuck am I doing? This is so bloody weird. And then all of a sudden you'll start to believe it and you'll start to say it to yourself when you walk past the mirror and be like, oh, hey girl, and you'll start to be obsessed with yourself. And it won't actually matter what you're doing, but you'll actually end up doing things to support yourself because it doesn't matter if you do them or not, but you'll do it because you enjoy it, right? And I get it. Not everyone enjoys the gym, but there'll be things in movement that you actually do enjoy. And I guess from coming from a really disciplined background for my high performing defense women, you will do it because you're used to doing that, right? So it's about reprogramming it. So it's now no longer a way to punish yourself or you're doing it because you have to. You get to explore what it's like to do it for fun and to enjoy it. And maybe it's the community you enjoy. Maybe it's the feeling you enjoy. Maybe it's the particular type of exercise. I don't know. But it's allowing yourself to be with that and what does that look like? And so when you start to do that with a mind that actually sees how beautiful and powerful and strong and sexy and amazing you are, holy motherfucker, your whole world will change. And your external will reflect that, right? Like people will be like, you look fucking banging. And you're like, I'm trained for 3 weeks, like a bit of a thing. But you know what? Yeah, I fucking do. I look banging. And it will be that little thing that, yes, things will still creep in, but you get to then address that, right? So like, why do I think it's bad that I haven't trained in 3 weeks? Is there something wrong with that? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The thing for me that's the biggest piece for that is the fact that I just generally love, training, the endorphins and the feeling, and that's what I'm missing. And I miss like lifting weights and, you know what I mean? Just feeling like hot while I do that because there we go, that's my thing. But yeah, everyone will have their own thing around that, right? But I just think it's so interesting that all of this came out today. I'm not surprised, right? And I get to share it with you, which this will all resonate. I know it will. And so, yeah, so when it came for money for me, that was a really big piece when I was younger. So that's why I'm a millionaire. That is like a piece for me that was really, really hard. So the health, and I've sort of like migrated through the health where like, obviously I know how hot I am. So I'm like, yes, sexy body, sexy life, all the things. And so now it's like we get to navigate what's the next thing. And a big piece that's been coming through with clients and all the things, and even myself, is around being seen. And I think I spoke about this in the last podcast, but this is all linked, right? Like as to when we're a child and inner child work is, we were this free, beautiful being. And then we go through all these things. And then it's like, how do we get back to being that beautiful, beautiful being? And the transformation in the goo is actually us remembering and, becoming And in becoming, we're remembering who we were and how we get to be free and have joy and love. And that's why it's so powerful when you can allow all of your emotions. Like, none of them are bad, right? Like this morning when, anger and she's screaming, and I'm like, fuck yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, we get to have that release. And sadness, you get to cry, you get to allow that to come out, right? And you get to honor that, like, your inner child maybe didn't get to do that. And sometimes you have to parent her and give her love, and you have to show her joy because she's just been like, that was what her experience was joy. But, maybe she was suppressed, maybe she was abandoned, maybe, all these things happened, which then built you into the woman you are today. But you get to reconnect with her and honor her and parent her in the way that you needed. And I think this is really important because this all comes into other areas of life, right? When you have boundaries and you have timings and, with family and friends and co-collaborations when it comes to business as well, for me, is like, honoring where's the boundary and what does it look like? And I think these are really big pieces in general of like, this is, what's going to serve me? And that's continually choosing me, right? Like, how do I get to be seen? How do I get to look at all the thoughts that I think all the time? How do I get to choose differently? How do I get to, honor what actually is me? And every season that's so different, right? And so just looking at a butterfly at my window, of course, the transformation, the goo. When we're in the goo and it's uncomfortable and it feels weird and we're sort of like releasing and we're, being in this space where we're like, I don't know what this feels like. What's next? I don't get it. We don't need to know, right? The universe, God, spirit, angels, archangels, all of that are providing and showing us. And we're just receiving the downloads and then doing the thing, right? And I think it's so beautiful because, of course, I have another beautiful energy healing tomorrow. And, the time right now is about sort of still being in that releasing, receiving, allowing. What does it all look like for you? And for me too, like, it's like, how do I get to step forward into this new space of business, of, of a new place, of all of these pieces? And how do I get to choose what's right for me and not right for society? I had another beautiful chat with a friend the other day about children, and I find this really, really interesting. And some women are that's what they absolutely want to do. And I think it's beautiful. Other women, we don't really know. Like, I used to be obsessed and wanted to have kids, and I would do it on my own and all the things. And as I've grown older, I'm like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. And that could change. And I think that's what it's about, and I think I really love actually and honor the women. And we're talking about this too, how it's not really spoken about really positively, but honoring the women who choose not to have children, right? Because, you know, that is so beautiful that is their choice. And it's so beautiful they have choice and they get to have that choice in a society where it's like, that's what we're meant to do as women. And if you want to fucking go after your career, go after your career. If you want to have babies, have babies. Like, I feel like, if you want to have one baby, great. Two babies, great. Three babies, great. Whatever. It doesn't actually, none of that matters. But in society, we don't really talk that way. We don't really honor women who do that. And I think it's a really beautiful piece where we get to sit back and say, what's choosing me? And she asked me, like, is this something that you want? And I was like, I don't actually know, but I know I'll know when it's the right time, if it's meant to be. And I think this is a really important piece as women. We get to choose what that looks like for us. And it's totally your journey. You need to choose what's right. Don't listen to society or people around you, all the things, because I think what happens is a lot of time we get sort of like taken off into this world where they're like, this is what we get to do, and we have to do this, and we have to blah, 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 blah. And obviously children are a blessing, go nuts. But if that's not for you, do not for a second go off in that whirlwind and just have them because you think you should. Like, I think you get to choose what that means to you and when that is for you. And I love that I have such powerful women in my life who have had kids really late, who have, had kids early, all the things, but it's been a powerful choice because that's what they wanted. And they've still done careers and all the things, right? We get to have it all because we do as women. And we also one thing I love is my friends have all got partners who are, you know, so obsessed with being husbands and fathers and all of the things, and they're choosing that, right? And so it's a very conscious choice. And I just want to leave today you with this question. What are you choosing? And I've probably asked that 1,000 times throughout all the podcasts, but it just seems to be even deeper as we move into this space, is like this new chapter, this new part of where we're going is, you know, all about honoring what we've been through, but not letting it control our lives, and looking at what we think about ourselves and changing how we think about ourselves to empower ourselves to be different, to change our internal world so our external world reflects what we want. And there's always a new level of this, right? Consistently. It's always sort of like this new thing where the universe shows us a new way and we have to grind through something new. Like, you know, I had the real estate thing and all the things where I had to keep choosing me, right? Keep fighting for what I believed in and doing what actually served me. And this is the piece. We all get to support and love each other in what serves us as a woman, and all of it's perfect and all of it's you. And you get to be all of you, because this is another thing is, you know, part of it, we don't like to be seen, or, you know, maybe we want to people please, or maybe we want to be the perfect, you know, all of these things, but you get to choose how you're seen in the world. And it doesn't actually fucking matter what anyone else thinks about that, because you are you and nobody can be you. And that is powerful as fuck. And you need to honor the fact that you are powerful, strong, healthy, sexy, amazing. And you need to believe that about yourself before anyone else will. If you want to grow a massive business, if you want to be seen on massive stages, you need to believe and know it's possible, and it's happened. Not it's happening, it's happened right now. Believe in yourself so deeply in what you want and what you want to achieve that no one can rock you. No one. And you believe it's here now. Not in a week, not in 2 weeks, not in 10 weeks, right now. Because that will create what you see. And that is the reality that you are bringing into your existence. And you deserve everything in this life. So I just really want to hone that home, that you get to change what you believe in. You get to change your habits. You get to change your life, but it's all about you and you being unapologetically wild, in your wild woman, in your feminine. In, like, when I'm doing coding and I'm light coding, I'm like all of the things, right? Like, I'm like screaming and I'm like making all these funny noises and I'm like making sounds and like I'm like huckering and all the things, right? Because I have a lot of you know, ancestors who are to do with Kiwis and all the things. So I'm like in these dances. I've never seen these dances before or what's going on, right? I am totally guided by the divine and I'm fucking amazing in that. And I am such a deep healer that I go into the depths of people's world, because that's who I am. I am a deep human and I fucking love that I'm a deep human. I'm not about this fucking small talk shit. So the depths of who you are, all of who you are perfect, amazing, and you are incredible. And until you believe it, no one else will. You have to be delusional. And still people will, you know, fight you or go against you or whatever the things are. But you know what? Who gives a flying fuck? You believe in you, you love yourself, you support yourself till the cows come home, because you're the person you have to live with for the rest of your life. So make sure that you truly get to know you and you truly honor and love yourself so much that you're unapologetic about it. And I hope you have the most magical day. I would love to hear any comments, you know, all the things, place them below, DM me on Instagram, all things. I want to hear about how delusional you're being about your success, about your life, about your what you're calling in. And I want to hear your new beliefs that you have, because you get to create your own reality. Go and be unapologetically wild. I love you. Have the most magical day.